All right, what's something that almost all athletes do the same in long jump? So one thing that we worked on today on the session that we just did at City Park this afternoon is they get into this position. So at landing, we get a above 90-degree angle from our hips to our knees when we fold and collapse. So when our chest comes down, we want to get above 90 degrees. So for instance, if I go here, hang on. So here's 90 degrees, right? If you notice, he's above 90 degrees. So from his hips to his knees is upwards, right? This is a consistency between almost all great long jumpers, is they get those knees up when they get their chest folded and collapsed. You can see if you watch Sebastian Bayer here, so he's a hang technique. He jumps, he holds, and then boom, aggressively sweeps through at the last second. Hold, boom. Ribs come down to his thighs, and then sweeps through, and then right here he gets into a landing position by basically putting on pants, right? You watch him, he's kind of like he's putting on pants. Heels touch the sand, and then he does a heel hook. So he drives his heels in the sand, and he pulls his hips forward. All right, so if we just look at a few other examples. And now we've got Marquise Dendy. So if we drive through from Marquise Dendy, come back just a little bit, a little different technique. But we watch him come through, hits, hitch. And if I look right here, you can see again, if we look at the angle, here's 90. You can see from his hips to his knees, above 90, right? That's a consistency you're going to see across almost all athletes, regardless of what their technique is in the air, is getting into this landing position. And you could do this single leg or double leg. So if you see him, he gets him way out, and then as soon as his heels touch, he curls his heels, does a hamstring curl as he hooks his heels into the sand, pulls him forward. So we did this example today. Here's the drill we did just now today. We actually did a sandcastle drill, so we kind of drew in a little sandcastle, jumped. Jenna did it, and I'll show you Jenna's in just a second, but came through, and I'll show you. So the first thing I did is I jumped incorrectly. So I jump, and you notice right here when I'm coming through, I get at 90 degrees. Okay, so my knees, from my hips to my knees, they're not even at 90, right? So you notice I'm still getting my knees way up, right? But if I can't get them into 90 position, watch what happens, right? I pull them forward. My ribs I try to get my ribs to my thighs, but I'm rotating forward. So if you look, when I draw an angle now, at landing position, I'm at 62 degrees when I'm kind of coming out. And if I rotate backwards just slightly, so at extension, I'm at about 66 degrees. Now, I did it a second time. So now I jump again, get up. Now, when I come here, at extension, let's go back just slightly. You can see when my knees are at maximum knee. About right here. Boom. This needs to be moved up slightly. You can see I'm about 106 degrees. Okay? Now, if we go to an maximum extension, you can see I'm in a way better landing position. And then I can hook in. Right? So, big difference, right, between this, not getting my ribs to my thighs, not getting those knees and that angle up and just kind of putting my feet down. Big difference from that. Even if I do this all great, but I'm not getting into landing position, right? I want to get here. I'm in this position. I pull my heels through my butt, short lever, and then as I sweep down, I bring my ribs to touch my thighs. And guys, I can't even touch my toes when standing straight up, but yet I can get into this position, right? So all of y'all can get into this position. Boom. Ideally, I'd like to get into this in a realistic situation. I hold this position a lot longer. I would hold this, hold. I'd get into this position maybe a little bit later, right? Because you can see I still am rotating quite a bit forward. So if I could be in this position about right here, that would be ideal, right? Because then I would be in this position a little bit further forward in my jump. So I lost quite a bit of distance just by trying to rush this phase right here. But that wasn't the point of this drill. The point of the drill was to get there. I wanted to get my thighs above 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and look at Jenna. All right, so here's Jenna's first one on the bottom. This is her first jump. She sweeps through, and she gets into this position. And if we draw, let's draw our angle. Jenna, let me move you up a little bit. Okay, so Jenna gets into this landing position. So from here, from her hips, she's slightly above 90, but we could do better. Another thing you notice is when she comes out, watch as she comes through, her hands just stay in front of her, right? I think we can do a little bit better. So she jumps again, and let's see what she does. All right, so now we got Jenna's jump on the bottom. It's the second time she jumps through. Now look at her position. Let's see if we can zoom in. And she folds through. Now if I draw this through, and I'm scrolling all over the place here. This isn't the best angle. Pull this up just a tiny bit. So a little bit better position, and then watch her arms. She sweeps all the way through. All right, so watch her get into this landing position, and then let's see her land. All right, so let's compare that position with this position. Hopefully you can see this. There's just a lot of gray space in this. But that position, how she's folded all the way, versus this position. And you notice in the first one, she gets here, and then she has to rock forward because her hands stay out in front of her. We want to do a counterbalance, right? Our heels come forward, and then our hands continue down, which allows us to stay in that folded position. Otherwise, she just comes out of it too early versus the one on the bottom. You can see we jump, and then when she counters, she can hold that position much longer. And you can just see how much further she jumped. It's pretty significant. I'm jumping about the same spot. So, good job. That was a lesson from the day, is getting those thighs above 90 degrees.